Hey, what's up, you guys? I'm Jaquan,
I'm Jasmine.
and welcome to the Film Spill.
So, today, guys, we're going to be reviewing The Walking Dead. This is a horror series, and here is the summary. This gritty drama portrays life in the months and years that follow a zombie apocalypse. A group of survivors travel in search of safety and security, constantly on the move in search of a secure home. But the pressure each day to stay alive sends many in the group to the deepest depths of human cruelty, and they soon discover that the overwhelming fear of the survivors can be more deadly than the zombies walking among them.
This was definitely a very interesting series. If I'm being honest, I guess you can say it's one of our OG series, right? And we both really enjoyed it. Shout out to you, mommy, because you actually put me on to Walking Dead. This wasn't something I had watched before, and I think you actually started watching it or something,
Before
and
we
then
got together.
and then you got back to it. So shout out to you. The rating I'm gonna give this show is gonna be a 4. Let's get into my pros and my cons. So very first pro, just Rick waking up to the world being overran by zombies. I think that has to be crazy. You've been stuck in this, this hospital for a long time in a coma. You just wake up and the world has changed. The original group was the best. Rick finding his wife and his son. We both talked about how that just sounds so impossible, but you know how that would make you feel. It's just crazy. Rick killing Shane because he became an op. Michonne was just such a beast. When we first saw her with those 2 armless zombies, it was just crazy. And I remember that was one of the things you were talking about. Like, wait till Michonne, like you was talking about her character. When Rick cut off Herschel's leg after he was bit by a zombie, Lori dying, because y'all know I don't like Lori. Finding out Mira was still alive was crazy. The governor was really a good villain. We talked about how some of those villains, which we're going to talk about towards the end, kind of changed up. The governor basically stayed the course the whole time. Miro sacrificing himself to kill a lot of zombies. The governor pulling up in a tank with his army to fight against Rick's army. That was crazy. Maggie killing the governor. Abraham, Rosita, and Eugene was such important characters to the show. When they came on, it was great. Rick killing the Terminus leader. Daryl killing Beth. Rick killing Pete. Morgan arriving to Alexandria. Morgan was another interesting character because we got a chance to watch him also in Fear, so it was great to kind of see that crossover. When Rick and his group discover how to blend in with the walkers were crazy. Rick cutting off Jesse's arm to save Carl. Michonne killing Ron. When Negan got on the scene, so we are all Negan. Negan and the Saviors were probably like in my opinion, the biggest and the best villains of the show. Negan himself, in my opinion, is the best TV villain of all time when he was Negan, not when he changed up. Michonne getting Rick back on track. King Ezekiel and his pet tiger Sheba was dope. Sasha killing herself to become a walker. Eugene making the bullets that backfire against the Saviors. Rick sacrificing himself by blowing up the bridge and a horde of walkers. When the Whisperers came on the scene, it was crazy as well because that was the first time we were like, wait, those zombies are talking. They're evolving. So that was dope finding out, no, they were actually people dressed up as zombies. When the Whisperers killed Henry, Tara, and Enid, that was crazy and placed their head on pikes. That right there just showed you just how serious these people were. And also, too, Walking Dead was definitely taking a page out of Game of Thrones book. When some of these characters were very important, they were getting killed off. Gabriel killing Dante, Michonne finding Rick's item, Negan killing Alpha, Daryl killing Beta, Maggie killing the Reapers. The Commonwealth was the first place that looked really civilized, in my opinion. Daryl killing Leia, Carol killing Lance. Some walkers begin to evolve as far as like climbing objects and moving a little bit faster. That was kind of getting crazy. And that just shows you eventually that's what's probably going to happen. They're going to start getting even more and more involved throughout that series. Mercer helping Eugene and the Coalition. Judith taking the bullet for Maggie. Daryl saving Judith. And then Ezekiel becoming the new leader of the Commonwealth. Those were my pros. So let's get into my cons. All right, so the zombies were just really ugly. Rick and his group, they destroyed every new place they went to. We talked about that. It's like they go to a new place and like, I want to change the rules. It's like, this is not your place. Just be happy you got to accept it. As long as nothing is happening to you guys, keep it moving. But they kept kind of putting their nose into other people's problems. Lori getting pregnant by Shane was crazy. Herschel shooting Carl. Shane becoming a snake. Dale dying was sad. Shane trying to kill Rick. The governor cutting off Herschel's head. That was wild. Terminus being cannibals were just disgusting. Finding out Eugene lied about being a scientist. That was just so hilarious, but it was messed up too. Beth dying. Tyrese dying. Rick being paranoid about Alexandria. Once again, like I stated, they get to this place. They're getting paranoid. They just start to try to change stuff and take over. He was just being extra. Pete killing Reg. Jesse and Sam dying. It was fake when Carl got shot in his eye and he did not die. We both talked about that so much. Like, yo, that doesn't look real. He got shot in his face. He should have died. Glenn dying, Abraham dying. When Negan broke Rick, I think throughout the entire series, that was probably like the lowest part for me because we grew with Rick. You know, he was like a savage. He was their leader. When he got broke down like that, that's when we realized like, yo, oh snap, like Negan is really like that. Rosita missing the shot to take Negan out when she had the opportunity to shoot Negan and she didn't do it. She messed up. Yeah, she hitting Lucille. Carl dying was sad because once again he's one of the OG members. Rick allowing Negan to live. We talked about that. He cut his throat and then saved him. Like, wait, what? You shouldn't have cut his throat. Alexandria allowing the Savers to work with them after everything. You know, Oceanfront and those other places. Like, what they did to us, we need to kill them, but not Alexandria. Finding out Rick was not dead was probably another big turning point of the entire show. Like, oh snap, he's not dead. Negan becoming good was just horrible. Like, they just literally should have just killed him towards the end and let Rick do it. But no, they allow him to keep it moving and he basically turned over a new leaf. I didn't like that. Sebastian dying and Luke and Rosita dying. But other than that, it was an amazing series, and I give it a 4.
Okay, guys, so I also give this series a 4 out of 5 stars. If you have not watched The Walking Dead, I suggest you go watch it. It's a really good series. So I'm going to break mine down between seasons, okay? Season 1 was the best season, in my opinion, because it had me hooked immediately. Imagine going into the hospital, waking up to a zombie apocalypse. Like, that was crazy. I didn't think it would be possible that he would find his family, but he did. Glenn was the OG. He was the first person to actually rescue Rick from a herd of zombies. And in this season, we're introduced to all of the OGs: Carol, Daryl, Meryl, Shane, Carl, and Lori. We're introduced to Herschel. I liked him and his farm. Lori found out she was pregnant but didn't know who the daddy was, and I loved that whole drama. Shane was becoming unhinged. Glenn and Maggie became a thing. Rick kills Shane, and Michonne is introduced at the very end of the season. Season 3, I like when they lived in the prison because I felt like it was a great fortified space for them to live in. Lori dies giving birth, and Carl had to kill her to prevent her from becoming a walker, which I feel like that was traumatic. The governor is introduced, and Michonne stabs him in the eye. Season 4, Carol becomes more strong-willed. The governor is still a menace. He didn't have to execute Herschel like that and then storm the prison with the tank. It was crazy. But let me say this. Rick and his crew, they're going to survive. It seemed like any bad situation they always got in, they always seem to get out. I feel like Rick was a really great leader. Terminus, the sanctuary, was introduced towards the end, and so was Eugene, Rosita, and Abraham. Season 5, we learned that the people of Terminus are cannibals, like you said, and that Eugene lied about being a scientist. We are introduced to Father Gabriel. The group meets Aaron and goes to Alexandria, and I really like this place too. It was very homey, structured, and organized. Season 6, Maggie is pregnant. Walkers invade Alexandria. Rick learns that whole trick of covering himself in the walker's blood and guts to disguise themselves, which was really gross, but it was cool, and they use this trick a lot going forward. Carl was shot in his eye, like he said, and he somehow survived. Rick and Michonne become a thing, and we are introduced to the Hilltop, Negan, and the Saviors. Season 7, Negan kills Glenn and Abraham and captures everybody. Dwight and Simon become big characters. Rick is broken down and accepts defeat, and Eugene becomes a part of the Negan's council. The Kingdom with King Ezekiel, Oceanside, and the Scavengers are introduced, and then Alexandria, Hilltop, and the Kingdom band together to try to overthrow the Saviors. Season 8, Carl is bitten by a walker and killed. Simon kills all of the scavengers except for Jadis. Eugene crafts bullets for the Savior's army, but creates them to purposely backfire, which takes out the Saviors. Rick slices Negan's throat and then saves his life for what reason, I don't know. Season 9, Maggie has given birth to baby Herschel. Negan is a prisoner, which causes fractures within the community because a lot of people want him dead. Rick blows up a bridge full of walkers, and Jadis finds him alive and has somebody pick him up. We find out that Michonne is pregnant, and she delivers RJ. We are introduced to the Whisperers in Alpha, and we're shown that massive walker herd. Negan earns respect by saving Judith during a blizzard. Season 10, Eugene starts a relationship with the lady over the radio. Many people start to antagonize Alpha's daughter, Lydia. Virgil tricks Michonne and locks her on a base, but she escapes and finds items that belong to Rick, and then she goes on a mission to find him. Negan joins the Whisperers and gets close to Alpha and kills her, and then Maggie returns and saves her friends. And then the last season, season 11, we are introduced to the Reapers, and they are defeated. Negan leaves because he feels he will never be truly welcome. He marries a woman and is expecting a child. Most of the Alexandrians relocate to the Commonwealth community, who later take control of Alexandria, Hilltop, and Oceanside. The walkers start evolving and using weapons, which was really crazy. Alexandria is one back. Rosita dies. Ezekiel is a new governor with Mercer and Carol at his side. Eugene has a daughter. Daryl goes to find Rick and Michonne, and we finally see Rick alive and well at the end of season 11, which was really cool. But overall, I think this was a great series. I give it a 4, and I definitely recommend you guys watch it.
Just like always, make sure you guys like, subscribe, and comment. You guys have a good one.